Hi, 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 rock stars. Welcome to Garment Sewing Bandcamp. My name is Holly and Knight of String and Story, and it is my job to guide you to quilt and sew with confidence. I am so excited to be here with y'all today for our very first Garment Sewing Bandcamp ever. Y'all are in on the ground floor. This is thrilling. If you are here with me this morning, do please say hi in the chat. Let me know where you're tuning in from. And let me know if you can hear me. That's also a really important part of this. I do see in the chat that there's been a little bit of confusion. Today's Bandcamp is free. You are all in the right spot. I am so thrilled that you are here. We are going to have the best time together talking about 3 key tips to sew your very first garment. And in fact, I am wearing some of my very first garments as a little inspiration to all of y'all. Trust me, if I can do this, y'all can 100% do this because I was so doubtful of my own ability for so long. And Hillary has helped to inspire me. I'm going to introduce her to you as we get going this morning. I see Selwyn is here from Colorado. Jesse's here from just up the street. Austin's in Arizona. Hello, Kathy in Illinois. Carla in Sarasota. Nancy in Spartanburg. Nancy, I don't know if you know this. I don't know how new you are to String and Story, but I have a lot of family in the Spartanburg area, so I'm very familiar. Welcome, welcome. Yvonne, hello. Oh my gosh, she passed through Atlanta. We were so close, but so far. Julie in Pennsylvania and Cindy in Nebraska. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am thrilled to have all of y'all here. Now, I am remarkably on time. Those of you who have been around here for a moment know it's not uncommon for me to come screeching in to my own event because I get excited doing something else. I'm like, oh no, where has the time gone? So I'm going to chitter chatter at y'all for a moment, and then we will get started properly after folks have had a moment to join us. Megan is in Wisconsin. Amy is in Ecuador. Amy, it's so good to see you. I love, love, love. You've been having a blast on Instagram. Like, way to go, rock star. Love it. Love it. So to give y'all a quick rundown of how this is going to go today, right? I'm going to chitter chatter for the next 30 seconds or so, give folks another moment to join us. Then we're going to go through Garment Sewing Bandcamp, and I'm going to share 3 actionable tips, hopefully to help kind of kickstart you. If you're here, I'm assuming you're at least garment sewing curious, right? And then at the end of our time together, I am going to give you a roadmap for how you can take that excitement and act on it inside of Garment Sewing Academy, which is one of our digital courses here at String and Story. So without further ado, if that sounds good, Karen's in the Lone Star State. I love that. Let's jump in, shall we? I'm excited. I have fun and funny stories to share with y'all. And I'm excited that Jesse's here because I am definitely going to call her out a couple of times. So, Jesse, prepare your spirit. Happy day after your birthday. By the way, Jesse, thrilled that you're joining us. So, this is Garment Sewing Bandcamp. 3 skills to sew your first garment. I am Holly Ann Knight of String and Story. I am on the left-hand side of this picture in the blue shirt. Hillary is on the right side of this picture in the fabulous yellow shirt. Now, here's the thing that you need to know. Hillary is the garment sewing expert around here. I'm going to go ahead and come clean right now. Hillary knows infinitely more than I do. She teaches Garment Sewing Academy. I am one of her students, okay? But what I'm excited about with this band camp is even though I would very much still consider myself a student Testing. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Hello? Oh, I think I see it back. All right, I think we're back. Okay, I have great news. If I get a little glitchy, the replay will be smooth as butter, but hopefully the sound is back now. Are we good? My phone rang. The vet had the audacity to call because I need to schedule an appointment for my pets to get their checkups. Like I know why they're calling me, but that's what happens. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna airplane mode this. All right. Hopefully we're good now. Okay. All right. So what I was saying, Hillary is the garment sewing expert. I am one of her students. Okay. So I would consider myself still a fairly beginner garment sewer, but I feel like I have also learned a lot in a very short period of time. And one of the things that I've learned is if I had someone do a master class like this for me, where all of these things I needed were packaged up with a little bow on top, I think I would have been a lot less scared about making the leap from quilts, which is what I do, to garment sewing because garments are three-dimensional, y'all. And listen, I was a painter in high school. I did watercolors and oil paints, and I tried doing clay and ceramics, and it did not go well. It was not cute. And I really thought that I was going to run into that same problem sewing clothes, and that has not been the case at all. Okay. So there's my little bit of background. Let's jump in properly because here's another thing that I find really important. I was recently listening to a podcast, and the guest, a woman named Casey Davis, said, "Your body is not made to fit clothes. Clothes are made to fit your body." And that I was in the process of making these slides when I heard that quote, and that hit me some type of way because my guess is that that pretty succinctly sums up why you're here. You want to make clothes that are a custom fit to you, right? There might be a very special garment that you're trying to make, maybe because you're here because you do cosplay, maybe you have a big event coming up. Maybe you're just frustrated with off the rack not feeling good, right? And you want to be able to make something that makes you feel like the rock star that you are. And any variation of those things, you are absolutely in the right place. This smile in this picture, by the way, I had just finished sewing those shorts. Those were my second ever garment. You'll hear about my first ever garment in a few minutes. But those were my second ever garment. And when I pulled those up over my bum and they fit, there is nothing like it. There is nothing like that. So let me give you a little bit more context about me and how I got here, even though I'm the beginner garment sewist, right? My name is Holly and Knight. I have been teaching free motion quilting since 2017, and I have watched thousands of quilters grow in their confidence through my blog, workshops, and digital courses. And more recently, I also began to sew clothes. And I am passionate to be here with you because I know the difference that learning how to free motion quilt made in my life and then getting to teach that to my students. And as I'm also seeing the impact of learning how to sew garments, I just cannot wait to share it with all of y'all. All right. This is my dear friend Hillary Henderson. Hillary has been sewing garments for her entire life and is absolutely masterful in how she creates clothes to custom fit an actual body. And she actually made both of the outfits that we are wearing in this picture. It's the same top, the CeeLo top, the same shorts, the Pietro shorts, and I love how she customized these garments through accurate measurement, which we're going to talk about today, and thoughtful size selection, which we're going to talk about today, and just knowing the both of us so that we both look and feel like rock stars in these outfits. All right. Now, I'm going to share more about how you can learn from Hillary at the end of our time together, but I just wanted to go ahead and give that introduction to you. She's phenomenal. Offline, I'm married to the hubster. His actual name is John. We have two boys named Jem and Ian who are growing up so very fast. The sound is gone again. Oh no. Let me just double check it. Nope, I still see it. Nancy, it should still be there. Can everyone else hear me? Just give me a thumbs up. All right. We live in downtown Duluth, Georgia, which if you are anywhere near Duluth and are up for an adventure this weekend, our fall festival is Saturday and Sunday, and it is award-winning and phenomenal, and we would love to see you in town. We are here with our dog, Havana, our big fish tank, our two cats, and I am frequently found hanging out on the town green, sipping a bitter from one of our local breweries, or jogging back from a long run. All right, sound is working. Excellent. Thank you. So a little bit of housekeeping in spite of the technical difficulties that we've already had. And I do just want to reassure you, the beautiful thing about this platform, StreamYard, that we're using to stream this to YouTube, is that it is keeping a lovely record of everything. So if at any point you experience continued tech difficulties, there will be a replay and it's going to be fantastic. All right. So just keep that in mind. In the meanwhile, get comfy. You made the decision to be here. Y'all have showed up live. That is huge. Settle in and enjoy this process of learning how to become a garment sewing rock star. The other thing is please ask all the questions. All right. If you ask a question that I don't know the answer to, I can go find out. That's what we have Hillary for, which is really awesome. But I think chances are really good that I'll at least be able to provide some information. And I don't want you to feel embarrassed to ask questions. I was so embarrassed to ask questions for so long, and that's something I'm still working on when I am new at learning something. Something about being a grown up, our brain plays this trick on us that we think that because we're an adult, we aren't allowed to be a beginner anymore. Right. And so we start trying something new, and our brain immediately goes, "You're an imposter." Right. And we hear that imposter syndrome get really loud with our inner mean grump. And here's the thing, you're not an imposter, you're a beginner. And that's really empowering, right? Please ask all the questions. That's why we're here together. I want you to get over this initial hump of anxiety to know how to take the next steps to just feel amazing in the sewing process and in the clothes that you make. Yvonne says, I have a shirt that I bought the pattern to sew in the fabric, but I'm not convinced it'll fit the way I want. I've been sewing clothes since seventh grade and still have more to learn. Yvonne, I love that. I love that. I was actually thinking about some fabric that I bought back in 2019 that I think it might be about time for me to sew it up. I might finally be ready. Maybe. I'm nervous, but I might be. You are in the right place. If you're frustrated with the fit of off the rack clothes and want to create practical garments that will fit well and feel fabulous, you are in the right place if you dream of complicated cosplay or fashion and you want to learn important garment sewing foundations, right? You are also in the right place if you want to learn how to sew. And maybe you just bought your first sewing machine or you're thinking about buying your very first sewing machine and you're like, I might as well start with clothes. I think that's a brilliant idea, and I think you are absolutely in the right place. So let me know in the chat what brings you to us today. And then the other question that I want you to answer in the chat is I want you to dream for a second. This is a really fun photo. This is me and part of Team Rockstar and some of our friends celebrating Jesse's birthday in our me-made garments. And it's amazing how fabulous that feels, right? To have your me-made fashion. What is your me-made fashion dream? Maybe it's a perfect pair of jeans or Rapunzel cosplay or just saying, look, Ma, I made it, right? Whatever that dream is, will you drop that in the chat? Okay. Um, for me, I have several garment sewing dreams at the moment, but the thing that I have long said is that I would love to have a fabulously tailored suit for special events. I and this is just me, and y'all are gonna roll your eyes so hard, and that's fine, you can. You know how when there's a special event coming up, there is this expectation of going out and buying a new dress, right? Meanwhile, guys or folks who dress more masculine can just pull the suit out of the closet, and I'm like, "Listen, I I want a really great navy suit that I'm gonna wear to literally everything forever." So that is my garment sewing dream that I am working towards. Nancy says fitting garments is what keeps me from jumping into garment sewing. I've been dabbling for years with very spotty success. Fitting is just something I've never gotten. Nancy, I totally get that. Carla says I want to make a nice top. Jesse says, I want to make a button down shirt. Jesse, you and me both. I have been stalking patterns on the internet all week. I still have not found what I want, but you and me both, girl. All right, keep those coming. I want to know what your big goal is. Kathy says, I can't find a winter coat I like, so I'd like to sew what I'm looking for. Yes! Margaret says, I'm hoping to get started. I've let quilting dominate my sewing, but I have a hard time finding clothes that actually fit me. I've procrastinated getting going on Garment Sewing Academy. Margot, we're going to make it happen. Because listen, this whole masterclass is based on the things that it took to finally kick me into gear to work through Garment Sewing Academy. So you are absolutely in the right place, Margot. I'm going to set us all up for success today. Megan says, pants that fits a body that has multiple sizes on it. Yes. Julie says, a matching top and skirt outfit. Nancy says, a unique to me wardrobe. Elaine says, a custom fit capsule wardrobe. Elaine, you are so very in the right place, babe. Judy says, making clothes I like that fit well, mostly pants. And Megan says, same, Margot. All right, let's make it happen. Are y'all ready? All right, because here's the deal. You can and will be a garment sewing rock star. And I know that because somehow I'm turning into a garment sewing rock star, and I doubted the possibility of that for so long. And now I'm looking at patterns that are thoroughly marked intermediate and advanced, and I'm like, if I just take it slow, I am certain I can do that. Because once we figure out these foundations, all the rest of it becomes frosting, right? We can always, it's so much easier to add a tool to the toolbox, right? Many of y'all are at a place right now where you're like, I don't even have a toolbox yet. I need a toolbox. And then I'm going to have to get the tools to put in it, right? So let's build you a toolbox and a few key tools today. And then it becomes a whole lot easier to start adding other things to that collection of skills. All right. Kathy says, I started out making garments and years later started quilting. Would love to go back and make clothes again. Love that. Margaret says, my goal is to make a pair of pants that fit me well. I love that as well. All right, so today we are going to tackle the supplies you need to get started. A lot of y'all have mentioned being quilters. A lot of y'all are ahead of the curve on this, okay? But I want to go over it because I thought it was going to be a super long list. Spoiler, it's not, okay? Why we start with woven fabrics, and then we're going to talk about the big lie. That's a really important one, so make sure you stick around. After that, I'm going to share with you how you can take the next steps to make this success extremely tangible inside of Garment Sewing Academy, and how Hillary's going to teach you how to make your first capsule wardrobe. All right, so let's do it. Supplies for sewing clothes. A quick list. Of course, you need a sewing machine and a rotary cutter with a fresh blade or shears. I find that I use both. You're going to want small snips. So for cutting little bits and for cutting notches in patterns and things like that. Pattern weights or pins. Here's the thing, Hillary prefers pattern weights. So that's heavy objects you put to hold the pattern down on your fabric as you cut it out. I just pin mine personally. Like I am too lazy to go find something to be pattern weights, or I like grab an unopened bottle of pasta sauce out of the pantry. Y'all knew I was gonna have some janky shortcut, right? Like that's so me. That's so on brand. Swedish tracing paper. This stuff is really cool. It looks a lot like interfacing, but it essentially is it's sort of half paper, half fabric that you can use it to duplicate your pattern. So instead of cutting out a tissue paper pattern, you trace your size onto the Swedish tracing paper and cut that out. And then what's really cool is you could actually sew that into a muslin in order to make sure that it fits the way you want it to fit. So you could use big basting stitches to put that together to see if things fit the way you want them to. You're going to need some sort of marking tool, like a tracing wheel and wax-free tracing paper, high quality thread. We're still using Aurifil around here, y'all. I know lots of garment sewers who prefer synthetic threads. For the stuff that we're doing right now and that we do inside Garment Sewing Academy, we use 40 and 50 weight Aurifil. Sharp straight pins, fresh needles, and of course, a seam ripper. All right. Which part's cool? Oh, the tracing paper. Yeah, Megan, it's awesome. Personally, I haven't actually like sewn it yet, but I know folks who swear by that, especially for more complicated patterns or if you're doing like a bust adjustment. So Hillary, Hillary can use 2 different size brackets, which we're going to talk about sizing and stuff towards the end of our time together today. But more and more patterns, especially indie patterns, are doing a full like 0 to 30 size range in a single pattern. If it is split, it is usually like a 0 to 16 and then like a 14 to 30. And Hillary falls right in the middle of that. But one of the key distinctions often with that bracket is that the 0 to 16 will be made with a B cup bust, and the 14 to 30 will be made with a D cup bust. So if she sews from that lower bracket, she'll do a full bust adjustment, which basically just means making sure that the fabric in the front of your shirt isn't too tight across your bust for the pattern, right? So adding a little extra fabric there if you have a larger chest. And it's been really cool because she'll use the Swedish tracing paper if it's a pattern she hasn't made before and she's making that adjustment. It allows her to like test out the bust darts and make sure that there's enough fabric before she cuts into her nice fabric, right? So it's just a cool tool. That's kind of your early intermediate step to be doing something like that. But to understand why Swedish tracing paper is so useful, so great. Yep. All right. Some of you may be buying your first machine. Okay. Some of you have 7 machines like me, and I get that. But if you're here and you're a brand new sewist and you're looking to learn garment sewing to learn how to sew, let's talk a little bit about buying a sewing machine. This is the most expensive item on this list, right? All these other things, these are very affordable, easy accessible items. It's likely you have some of them hanging around your house from having to sew a button on sometime, right? But what about your sewing machine? So here are three key tips I really want you to think about. I do recommend buying from a dealer. I cannot believe these words are coming out of my mouth, right? For years, because I am such an introvert, I do not want to talk to somebody. Please, for the love of Pete, do not trap me and talk to me about anything ever. Like, that's just not how I roll. But I have come to appreciate the importance of buying from a dealer, and especially because I've learned that for some sewing machines, like the Burnett's that we carry at String and Story, for example, you don't have to come in and get trapped in some sales pitch, right? You can do your research at home. You can even order online if you want. But here's what's magical about buying from a dealer. A dealer is a small business, and that means that you're going to get small business level customer support. And that's a really big deal, that whoever you buy your machine from is the person that you can email, or if you're more extroverted than I am, pick up the phone and call and say, this weird thing is happening, please help, right? Or, hey, do you have a machine orientation coming up? I really have some questions that I need answered, right? So buying from a dealer, buying from a small business is going to give you a higher level of support so that you're not stuck figuring things out on your own. Because when I first bought my first sewing machine, I bought it on Amazon. Full disclosure, bought a Singer on Amazon. Um, but there were a lot of things I learned by breaking my machine and having to then pay to go in and have service because I didn't know what I was doing and I didn't have a safe place to ask questions. So have a safe place to ask questions. Number two, know your non-negotiable features. For me, this means I want a thread cutter button. Gone are the days when I want to pull my fabric out from under the machine and floss it through to cut the threads. There are times with certain techniques where I have to do that. But the most of the time, I want to be able to go, and it cuts it for me, right? I want to be able to have a speed control on the front. I want needle up and down to be a button, not a wheel, right? And that puts my core machine features in a higher price bracket, right? Than someone who's like, I want bare bones. Affordability is my number one goal, right? So know what your non-negotiable features are and how that fits with your budget. Regardless, you need 2 stitches on this machine. You need a straight stitch and you need a zigzag stitch, okay? And if you have those 2 stitches, you are set up for success for your first garments, all right? The final tip, this is a really important one, and one that I've spent a lot of time talking to my friend Kate about this week. And that is the idea of buying a machine for the sewist you will be. If you're here and you already have a couple of sewing machines and you're listening to these tips because you're maybe thinking about buying a backup machine or a travel machine, um, this might be a little less relevant, right? Because you already have maybe your really nice sewing machine. But if you're buying your very first sewing machine, it's very tempting to buy the machine for who you are now. And if you're saying, well, I have not yet sewn a stitch, I'm just curious about this, it's very tempting to buy the bottom of the line machine, right? The most affordable machine is what that means. Here's what Kate and I see working with sewists who are developing their skills that is hard to have the foresight for when you're in the driver's seat as a brand new sewist, right? We think to ourselves, well, I've never sewn before, so this machine can do everything that I want to learn right now. It can go forward, it can go backward. In theory, it could add a buttonhole. It has no bells and whistles, but it's a great budget buy because, what if I don't really get into this thing that much, right? But what can very quickly happen is you blow through the capacity of that machine and then your skills stall and you don't continue learning new things because it would take so much jerry rigging with your current machine in order to enjoy that, right? So you want to think, where are you going to be as a sewist in the next 1 to 3 years, and buy a machine that is better suited to that sewist, right? This might mean going up like a model, right? A price point if it's within your budget and you can do that, because it's going to give you joy units longer to have a smoother sewing process, okay? That being said, I jerry rigged on machines for years. Okay. So if you're like, Holly Ann, that's cute and everything, but my budget is this and that just is what it is, then get started. It doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to start, okay? So under ideal circumstances, I would recommend buying from a dealer with the features and the price point that it's gonna serve you in the next 1 to 3 years. If you're going, "That is out of my budget," just get started. Get started making those first stitches and you can figure out the machine later, okay? So hold that intention for me. All right. Side note on Burnett sewing machines, I gotta say this, right? We sell Burnett sewing machines at String and Story because we believe they're a perfect intersection of affordability and quality. And we are constantly increasing our support and resources around these machines. So, what I was saying about buying from a small business, we want to be that safe place to ask questions for you. So, just know we absolutely have machines. We'd love to talk to you about it. If you are in the market for your first or next machine, some of our top recommendations are the B05, the B37 or B38, and the B77. So if you're curious about that and you want to talk about it, by all means reach out. I it would make me so happy because I love these machines and they bring so much joy to our students when they come in. We had a whole class full of folks who are new and aspiring sewists in for a sip and sew last week. Full room of folks, all on the B77s. To a person, every single one of them was like, "Oh my gosh, this is so much easier on like a really nice sewing machine. This is really awesome." So be aware of that. Here's what I want you to notice that I did not mention. Oh, Elaine, I love that you said that. Sewing is so much easier with a nice machine. My machine was always tripping me up. My life changed when I invested in a higher quality sewing machine. So that's part of why I'm so passionate about this. I agree completely, Elaine. But here's what I did not mention. Please notice that I said a sewing machine. I did not say a serger or an overlocker. That is one of the most common misconceptions around garment sewing is that you have to have a serger or an overlocker in order to be successful. Listen, I love my overlocker. I have the B68. It is the top of the Burnett line. It is super lovely. When I was making this shirt, it made it go extra fast because finishing my seams was a single step. That being said, that's a whole other investment option, a whole other investment item, right? And while we talk about how you can do things with both a sewing machine and a serger, know that the serger can absolutely wait, okay? Sidebar, if you're here and you're looking for me to write a permission slip for you to get a serger, I'm always available to write permission slips. I just need you to know it's not required in order to be successful. All right, so there's our machines and our other supplies. So machine is the top of that list. The other things are very normal sewing supplies. I did just realize one thing that I forgot to put on that list. You need a soft tape measure. Okay, quilters, we use a lot of plastic hard rulers. Make sure you have a soft tape measure in order to do your body measurements when we get to section number 3. All right, so we've gathered all of our supplies. We have our machines. It's time to get some fabric. Why do we recommend starting with woven fabrics? Woven fabrics are made by weaving vertical warp threads with horizontal weft threads. That means that they have a little bit of stretch and give along that bias, which is that diagonal line, but they're not typically very stretchy or slippy, and they don't misbehave a lot when you sew with them, okay? This makes them a sturdy, predictable fabric to learn on. This is also really helpful if you, like me, are stepping from quilting into garment sewing. It's one less thing for your brain to freak out about, right? It's one less thing for your inner mean grump to go, "Oh no, we don't know what to do with knits. How are we supposed to handle that?" Right? You can be like, "Brain, this is quilting cotton. Like, calm down. You know how to do this. You do it all the time," right? That was something that was a game changer for me with this shirt. Okay, so I think it's maybe in this next lesson that I tell this wild story about this shirt. I've been telling this story a little bit in the emails that you've been getting as well. But I made this shirt just a few weeks ago, and it was my first CeeLo top because remember I showed you the picture of my navy one, and that one Hillary made for me. But this shirt, I cut it out and made it in under 2 hours, and which is a crazy thing to do. I don't necessarily recommend that. But Jessie was having a birthday party, and she said to wear me made, so I needed to make a shirt. But my brain was doing the whole freak out thing of like, oh my gosh, 3-dimensional. I don't know. Can I do this? Even though I had just made the Pietro shorts like 2 weeks before that. But my brain was still freaking out. But as I started sewing, it's nice, stable woven fabric, right? It is a cotton that is designed to cross over between quilting and garments. And it was so much easier because like, oh wait, I do know how to work with this fabric. I work with this fabric all the time. And off I went. Okay. Wovens are amazingly versatile. So what I love about these two photos, Jessie, I told you I was calling you out. Jessie and I are wearing the same outfit. Now, the shorts are literally the exact same shorts. We are both wearing the Pietro shorts made with the Ruby Star Society twill in the same color of green, okay? But we're also wearing the same shirt. We're wearing the CeeLo top. I am wearing it in a gingham cotton woven that is designed to be a quilting garment crossover. And Jessie is wearing a rayon CeeLo. So rayon is also a woven fabric. It is a little slippier. It has more drape, right? Than the quilting cotton. And so that's what gives it that slightly more tailored look, is the way that it falls on her body is a little bit different because of the texture of the fabric. Okay. So you can get some of those drapey, tailored, elegant looks while still be working with woven fabrics, still just working on a regular sewing machine, not a lot of extra fuss. Super cool, right? One note about our wovens, and this is true of all fabrics for garment sewing, but just a friendly reminder, don't forget to pre-wash. Take the raw edges of your fabric. So when fabric comes off the bolt and you've got the two raw edges, put those together and zigzag them and throw that puppy in the wash the way you're planning to wash your garments, right? Now, prior to having me made items in my wardrobe, y'all can clutch your pearls. I washed everything on hot and I dried it on hot. Listen, we've been in COVID times. I am we're killing all the germs at the night household, right? But that is not necessarily recommended. So wash on cool. I still dry on regular. But the idea is that we want to go ahead and pre-shrink that fabric and remove things like chemical sizing from the fabric so that when we cut it out and sew it to fit our bodies, it will continue to fit our bodies after it goes through the wash again. Okay. There is a rinseless product called Soak that can be a good consideration for washing your garment later. Soak is really cool because it is engineered that it basically helps break down any like body enzymes, so like sweat and dirt and grime that can get in your garments, but you don't have to do like the rinse and wring out situation, right? You put it in the soak, you swish it, you let it sit for a little while, and if you want to swish it in some clean water, you can. But it doesn't have to be wrung out. So it's a nice, easy hand wash option. And for me, it's going to be the option that I probably need to use for these Pietro shorts because guess who forgot to pre-wash? There's a reason that I've become passionate about this because I made these beautiful shorts and I am terrified to wash them. Oops. Let's see. Margaret says both tops are beautiful. Someone says I love that rayon print, so pretty. Megan says this was going to be my question. So glad it's covered. Oh, Megan, what was your question about pre-washing and the importance of it? Let me know if you have any follow-ups, because yeah, soak is also really helpful because it can help extend the life of your garments by just making that wash cycle more gentle. I have 2 kids and a lot of pets at my house. The chances of me hand washing very often are low, but if I'm gonna do it, I do it with soak. Let me tell you what. Perfect, Megan. So glad we covered it. All right, we have built ourselves up to arguably the most dramatic part of all of today. And I'm going to guess that it's in this next section. We're going to begin to cover a lot of the questions that y'all really came here with. Okay. So let's talk about the big lie. The big lie is that your body should fit in certain clothes and in smaller size numbers in order to be considered better, more beautiful, healthier, or more worthy. Pardon my French, but it's bullshit. Okay? Because here's the reality. I said this at the very beginning of our time together. Clothes should be made to fit your body. So we always choose our size when we're making our clothes based on comfort and fit preferences. Okay? So we take our measurements not to prove that we fit in a certain size on the back of the pattern envelope, but to simply gain the information of how should I cut this pattern in order to look and feel like a rock star when I finish. Okay? So, what do we need to know about measuring your beautiful body so it can feel fabulous in your new clothes? All right. The back of your pattern envelope is going to look something like this. This is the NYX top, which is the 3rd project that we make inside of Garment Sewing Academy. And as we go top to bottom, you're going to see a bunch of different information. Okay. First, you're going to see depictions of the garment and the different views. Above that on that yellow bit is the difficulty rating and a brief description of the garment. Okay. Then we're going to see images of how the garment options can look. Most patterns have several variations. That's part of what's really cool about Garment Sewing Academy is we teach you a view of each of the articles of clothing, but there are 3 to 4 views of every single one. So once you've gained the skills to make a single view of that item, you can absolutely cut out the other pattern pieces and make more options. Trust me, I am chomping at the bit to make some Pietra pants. I cannot wait. As soon as Fall Festival is over, your girl's gonna be on it, okay? Beneath those depictions, you're going to begin to see a series of numbers, okay? The first set of numbers is going to be about the body measurements that correlate to each size within this pattern. If you are anything like me and a relatively normal human, this is the part where your brain starts to freak out because the number that is in the back of my off the rack clothes and the number that I cut out when I am sewing my own clothes is not the same number because vanity sizing, right? And it triggers a lot of insecurities for me. So if that is something that you feel as well, just know that you're not alone. All right. Remember that when we're doing this, the numbers that we are cutting out mean nothing except that it's a reference. These could also be sizes A, B, C, D, E, F, G, right? We typically use numbers for sizing, but you could put shapes there, right? It's just a reference point. Below that, you then see the yardage that based on the size you choose, how much fabric you need, right? And it typically will give for 42-inch width of fabric and 54-inch width of fabric, or 2 other options similar to that, okay? Any questions so far about the back of our pattern envelope? Sizes are ridiculous, 100%. Because here's what size I want you to sew in. I want you to sew a sew-in sized shirt. I need to sew a Holly Ann size shirt, right? Hillary needs to sew Hillary needs to sew a Hillary size shirt, right? That's really the only goal that we're going at here. All right. Now, let's talk about measuring our body and then selecting our size. Okay. First of all, you're typically going to measure your bust, so across the fullest part of your chest, your hips across the fullest part of your bum and your pelvis, and then in the middle at your natural waist, which I'm gesturing to myself and you can't see me because of how this is positioned, but you understand. Okay. This can be a little bit tricky to do on yourself. I'm going to give you some tips for it. If you have a trusted human in your home who can help, it's always a good idea, right? When you're doing your measurements, you should wear your normal undergarments. I'm going to assume that most of us are broken records on what we prefer to wear as undergarments. So put those on and then measure, okay? Oh my gosh, sewing. Oh yeah, sizes. Oh, sizing and clothing fit nightmares. We're here to solve those, right? All right. So put on your normal undergarments, and you're going to take your soft tape measure and keeping it as level as you can to the ground, right? So you don't like when you're measuring the fullness of your bust, you don't want to have it, here on the front of your body and way down or way up in the back. You want to keep it as level as possible. Okay. Resist the urge to alter your body posture. Okay. However, you normally are going to stand or sit in these clothes, we're going to be standing to measure, but you need to stand normally. Okay. Listen, I was a pre professional ballerina for the longest time, and the absurd things we would do that would end up in us not having the right size costumes because we were self conscious about what number that tape measure was going to show. Okay. Remember, we are only using numbers as a point of reference. They have nothing to do with value. Success when you are sewing your clothes is a garment that fits you and that you feel good wearing. Okay. There's not going to be a size number in the back of that shirt when it is sewn together. All right. Let's see. Sizes are why I rarely go clothes shopping. So I'm in my 60s and my breasts are low hangers. Should I measure with my bra on? Yes, because you're going to most likely be wearing a bra on your shirt. Now, if you're going to be going freezies in your shirt and not have your bra on, then measure without your bra on. But if you're going to have your bra on when you're wearing the shirt, measure like that. Okay. Great question, by the way. And if you typically prefer a certain padding in your bra or not, whatever your normal undergarment is, that's what you're going to put on. Love it. Love it. And just same thing with measuring, like anything on your body that we're measuring, right? It's the fullest part, wherever the fullest part is for you, okay? So that could be higher or lower depending on your body shape or your age, um, but just measure the fullest part. Yeah, great question. From this point, as we're measuring, okay, you're measuring bust, waist, hips. You're gonna play the matching game on the back of that chart. It's probably not all gonna be the same size. Mine's not the same size. It's like I don't even think I get 2 in a row typically. I'm like, okay, so I'm now across 3 different sizes. What do I do? Okay. This is where we come to this third column. What do you like? Right? So when we measured me for the CeeLo top, and I don't have the exact measurements in front of me. So just go with the gist of this, right? I was across several sizes. Here's the thing about the CeeLo top. This is the CeeLo top, so y'all can see it, okay? It is a boxy cropped tee, and in this case, it is made with a cotton that is similar to a quilting cotton, okay? So it does not hang against my body. There's lots of space. That's called ease. So the space between your body and the garment is called ease. If there's a lot of positive ease, that means it fits in a boxier, looser fashion. If there is very little ease or even negative ease, it's going to be a garment that's designed to cling to the body, right? So another top that I really like to wear is it's a cropped knit. What do they call that? They call it a brami. So it's like a fitted cropped tank top essentially that hugs my body. That shirt has negative ease. I have to stretch it onto my body. Okay. So in this case, we looked at my sizes and we chose the smallest one. We may have actually even gotten one smaller than what I measured for my CeeLo top because I don't like my clothes really loose. I prefer more fitted clothes, and honestly, even wearing a boxy tee has been a bit of a stretch for me. Please see previous notes about having been a ballerina. I spent a lot of years in a leotard. Okay, um, so we actually chose the smallest size because there's so much positive ease in this garment that we knew it would still fit comfortably and actually be a little bit closer to the look that I prefer, right? Let's say you measure for the CeeLo and you like your clothes kind of medium boxy, right? And you measure across a couple of sizes. You might pick the middle one or the larger size. This is where having that Swedish tracing paper that we talked about at the beginning is really going to come in handy. Because if you're unsure, you can trace off the pattern pieces and either base them together or pin them together and put it on and get an idea of how it's going to feel, right? And this is what's really cool inside GSA is that during Q&As and things, Hillary talks about things like grading. For a lot of us, especially with these boxier, looser fitting garments, we're probably not going to need to grade our patterns. We need to measure very carefully, and then we need to strategically choose the size that we're going to make based on how we like our clothes to fit. Okay. Let's see. Nancy said she listened to a fold line video that suggested no bra for measuring high and full bust to determine bust adjustments. Oh, that's interesting. So Hillary is the one to ask about bust adjustments, and she does talk about that early in the Q&As for GSA. So if you feel like you may need to make a bust adjustment, she's got you. Julie says, I've been editing my store-bought clothes to fit better. I love that, Julie. That's amazing. Here's the deal, rock stars. Remember, this is about making clothes that fit you, and you can and will be a garment sewing rock star. And you're not only going to be proud of having made the thing, you're going to be proud of how you look in it. All right. Because when it's you sized, it hits different, right? If I had gone and bought a boxy tee, I don't know that I would derive as many joy units from it as I do from the fact that I made this one, right? And I made it to fit me. All right. Now, one more word about sizing. If your inner mean grump is telling you a story. My very first garment that I ever sewed, let me actually pull my slides down for just a second. My very first garment that I ever sewed was a cotton tank top. It was made out of a quilting cotton, a Ruby Star Society print. This was back in 2019. Some of y'all have been around long enough that you remember this, right? And it was not my first itch to sew clothes. It was my first itch to sew clothes that I actually took action on. And I measured myself and I didn't like the number that the back of the pattern told me. And I was like, no, 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 I can't be that size because I'm this size off the rack. And I went down that whole shaming rabbit hole of thinking that I had to be a certain size, that I had to prove that I was in fact a certain size, instead of recognizing that numbers on the back of pattern envelopes are just reference points to make sure that it fits us properly in the end, right? So I sized down. I didn't understand how ease worked. This item didn't have as much ease as the CeeLo top. I sized down to the size I thought I should be. Then we had a fabulous night on the Quilting Rockstars Facebook group. I was live. I would read the pattern directions out loud. Rockstars would chime in the chat telling me what that meant because I didn't know how to sew clothes yet. And I would follow the directions and hold it up and be like, is this right? We had so much fun. Here's the bummer though. It was such a fun night. I was so excited to wear that shirt. I thought that it would be the shirt that I wore all day, every day. Um, because it was such a fun community experience and it was so fun to finally do this thing I had wanted to do for several years and sew myself a shirt. But the shirt didn't fit. I could put the shirt on and like it looked okay for like photos, but I had to hold my body in a certain way. I couldn't move too much. I was very restricted. And I never got the same joy units out of that shirt as I would have if it had been truly me sized, right? Because I didn't know how to let go of that body image cycle yet. All right. And that's something we're really passionate about here at String and Story is whether you are, no matter the story you're telling yourself or just the concerns you have, our bodies change with time, right? I don't know how many of y'all follow Kristen Esser online. She's an amazing quilter. And I remember going to her after having my second child and being like, my body's just different. Like, I weigh more than I used to. I'm telling myself a story about that. And she was like, you know what? When I first had my kids, someone told me we have our princess weight and we have our queen weight. And she was like, it doesn't matter what the numbers are. She was like, I just want you to remember that your body did this amazing thing of having humans and it's a queen now. It grew up, it changed. And however it changed is fine, right? As we age, aging and having the body changes that go along with age is a privilege because that means you're still here and you're experiencing life and your body has had a beautiful journey of experiences with you. So we want to set you up for success to make clothes that fit and feel fabulous, okay? All right, so my garment sewing rock stars. Let's go back to that garment sewing dream. At the very beginning of our time together, you told me about a feeling or a project that's the reason you want to learn to sew clothes. And it's likely that just naming your dream made you a little nervous. I also want you to know that naming your dream and putting it in the chat statistically makes it more likely to come true. That's why I do this exercise. Writing a dream down and saying it out loud to people who are going to hold it and treat it with love and excitement and kindness statistically like doubles or triples the chance of it coming true. So I would love to share with you how we can make it come true together. Okay. You can take to the Googles and find out how to make clothes on your own. There's good stuff on the Googles. I never want to knock the Googles, right? But the Googles is not a community and the Googles is not necessarily available to give a tailored to you answer when you get stuck. So your other option is to join Hillary and I as we show you a proven path taken by dozens of rock stars before you to make those garment sewing dreams come true. And listen, I told you at the beginning very transparently, I am a student of Hillary, right? And if this is working for me, I know it'll work for you. I never thought, because every time I measured myself on the back of a pattern envelope, I was 3 different sizes. And I said, I don't know how to do that, right? And now I'm here completely in an outfit that I made myself, and I have never felt more proud. And I want you to have that feeling. So I would love to invite you to Garment Sewing Academy. Hillary is our lead teacher on this. I get to assist for the first time this time around. It makes me feel like a whole rock star. I feel very just over the moon because I'm a testimony that this works. Alicia, good morning. So let me tell you a little bit about what's included. So Garment Sewing Academy is all about feeling confident sewing your own clothes with our beginner-friendly capsule wardrobe. We very intentionally chose 2 tops and a pair of shorts/trousers that is going to be very forgiving, right? These are not things that have a lot of super precise fit. So that's going to make them really comfy. It's going to make them really versatile. And it also means that, you know, we're not doing tailored button downs where if you mess it up a little bit, the whole thing's lost, right? These are forgiving. They're perfect for learning. They're perfect for experimenting with things like bust adjustments and grading and really getting these foundations underneath you. So if you want to try sewing your own clothes, but are nervous about getting started, about creating clothes that actually fit, then Garment Sewing Academy is for you. Let me introduce you to Rebecca. Rebecca said, I love the explanations and especially the repetition of things we may have learned previously, but need to remember for the next model. I finally understand the concept of stay stitching and understitching and why they're important. Hillary also did a great job of explaining what makes a pattern a good pattern. So now I know what to look for when I go to choose patterns. I looked forward to the Q&A sessions that were very important, and I'm very glad that they were available. Rebecca is rocking her CeeLo and her Pietro shorts. How cute. So Garment Sewing Academy includes lifetime access to 4 units of video lessons. Garment Sewing Basics, answering your most pressing questions, pun intended, about supplies, pattern envelopes, fabrics, and other garment sewing lingo. So an even deeper dive into what we've covered at the beginning today. Step-by-step guides to sew a woven top, the CeeLo, woven bottoms, the Pietro shorts, right? And a drapey woven top. So that's the NYX top, which you'll see in just a moment. A course workbook that includes quick guides, tips, and more, a private Rockstar community in Kajabi, and most importantly, if you've been around here for more than a second, you know we really value this, lifetime access to all of the above. And Rockstars, we're open with early bird enrollment right now. So early bird tuition is $297 or 2 payments of $115. Kathy says, what's the pacing of the lessons? I work full time and finding time can be hard for side projects. I.e., how much time do we have to do homework? Kathy, this is a phenomenal question. So once the class kicks off, we go through 4 units in 4 weeks. So if you follow along with the pacing of the class, you're going to set up 1 week, you'll make your CeeLo the next week, you'll make your Pietro shorts the next week, and then you'll make your NYX top the week after that. Then you have a couple of weeks before graduation, so you have some catch-up time. That being said, 2 important things. First of all, lifetime access. So if that doesn't work for you and it's going to take the whole month of October to sew a CeeLo top, awesome. You still have the rest of the lessons waiting for you, okay? The other thing, and this top, 2 hours, cutting out, the sewing was I started the sewing to when I put the garment on my body, 90 minutes. Now, I was sewing with deep focus, right? And I had watched Hillary's lessons. I had a good concept of what I was doing. But I share that to say it does not take nearly as long to sew a shirt as it does to sew a quilt. Right? This is a much faster side project. So I think you'll find it less time stressful than some quilting skills can be. Megan says, I'm all signed up. Megan, I thought I saw your name come through. I'm so excited. Is the way to get just the pattern so I can select my own fabric from my local fabric shop? Yes, we have the patterns standalone in the shop. If you have trouble finding the links, it's under the patterns tab in the shop. If you have trouble finding the pattern links, send me an email. I can send them to you. The slide says $297, but $197 in the email. Let me check in Kajabi and see where we have our typo. Oh, goodness, Yvonne. Let me check. Hang on. Great news. It's $197. So my slide is wrong. Y'all get a fantastic deal. $197 or $230. So I have a typo. Thank you, Yvonne. Yvonne saved the day. $197. $197. $197. $197. 2 payments of $115 is $230. So yes, you're correct because there's a typo on that. $197. Okay. Thanks for catching that so I can update my slides because then it's $227 is the full pay. Inside Garment Sewing Academy, Hillary will take you even deeper into the foundations that we covered today. And then she'll teach you how to sew a capsule wardrobe with 3 patterns, the CeeLo, the Pietro, and the NYX. And we've worked with 3 patterns and 3 fabrics, so you'll be well on your way to having all the foundations that you need. Yvonne, I'm so glad to have been able to quickly solve that anxiety. Forgive my typo, please. Let me drop a link for y'all while I keep going through this. So how does the community work for Garment Sewing Academy? The units are hosted in a platform called Kajabi, but our community and study hall, if you will, are in Kajabi communities. I am live for class throughout the, I being Hillary and I, we're taking turns on this, are live throughout the class for Q&A sessions, so you never feel stuck. And the Q&As will be on Wednesdays at 12 p.m. Eastern, but there is always, always, always a replay, okay? Lifetime access, as I mentioned, means that we know that you have a lot of life going on, and we want to make sure that this class stays accessible to you, even if it's going to take you your own time to go through and get all of these garments sewn. What's really cool too is it means you can go back and rewatch the videos So for example, I watched all the Pietro Shorts videos. I got going. I got to the waistband and I went, oh no, because I'm reading the directions in the pattern booklet and I'm like, I don't understand the construction of how that works. Like, send help. So what I do, I pulled up the video and I watched it again. And as soon as I watched Hillary do it, I was like, oh, yeah, that's very clever, but it makes a ton of sense. Okay. You'll hear me use the term cohort as we go along, and that just refers to groups of students who signed up at the same time. All right. 197, 197, 197. Ignore my slides that have a terrible, this is what happens when I make slides late at night while Hubster's out of town. Let me introduce you to Rachel. Rachel says, I love being able to follow along with Hillary in the videos. I love the Q&A sessions and the selection of patterns was great. Learning new skills in each one. Hillary is very body positive and the course is size inclusive. So Rachel is wearing the is wearing the CeeLo top in the left-hand photo, and she's wearing the NYX top and the Pietro shorts in the right hand. I do want to add an important asterisk because it is almost October. The CeeLo top does have a long sleeve option, as does the NYX top. And the Pietro trouser is basically the same as making the shorts. You just cut the legs longer. So we're including in the course kit this time. So if you choose to buy the kit with us, we're including enough fabric that you could make the pants if you prefer that, because I know the weather's about to turn for many of us. Okay. I also want to note that all of these patterns are 0 to 30 in sizing. Check the measurements on this in the listings for exactly what that means as far as body size, right? It's very inclusive is really what it means. Unfortunately, Closet Core doesn't offer printed patterns for the 14 to 30 size bracket. So you'll get a PDF through them if you need to sew those sizes, okay? Elaine says, when is the start date? The start date is October 10th. Let me double check myself to make sure that is true. Oh, so glad that my airplane mode is working. Calendar. October 10th is when we start orientation week, okay? And you start sewing your CeeLo the week after that. Claire says, are the patterns included in the cost, PDF or printed? The patterns are not included in the cost. If you purchase the kit, you have the option to add the 0 to 16 printed pattern. If you prefer a PDF, you can get the kit and just opt out of getting the patterns and order your patterns directly from Closet Core. Closet Core has printed patterns 0 to 16 and PDFs for 0 to 16 and 14 to 30. Great question, Claire. So Garment Sewing Academy allows you to learn garment sewing from the privacy and comfort of your own home, but without giving up some really important perks, right? So you're in the privacy and comfort of your own home. It's ready when you are, regardless of geography or time zone, with the on-demand pre-recorded lessons. But you have the amazing connection of being able to hang out with other rock stars in training inside our Kajabi community so that you can help and encourage each other. So let me introduce you to Jessie, who I've already shouted out a bunch of times. You've already seen her in her Pietro shorts. Here's her CeeLo top made out of the Sprout wovens. She said, I absolutely love the videos. I could pause and rewind to make sure I got it right. I'm sure I'll refer back to them again and again. And based on how many outfits I've seen that Jessie's made, she's going to have a whole closet full of me-mades in no time at all. Nancy says, if I already own some of the patterns, can I buy the supplies separately? Yes. Yes, yes, yes. So what you would do in that case, like let's say you own the CeeLo pattern, but you want Pietro and NYX, you would buy the kit without the patterns and then just purchase those standalone patterns. So you would add 3 things to your cart in that case. Does that make sense, Nancy? All right, so last little holler. We would love to see you in Garment Sewing Academy. If you're here, if you found this helpful, if you found this encouraging, if you had takeaways that were useful, and if you're feeling inspired to finally make those me-mades and dip your toe into garment sewing, I can't encourage you enough. I have had the time of my life starting this journey, and it's one that I've put off for years because I just was scared it wouldn't work. And I'm already seeing those changes. I'm already excited to share what I've learned with y'all as I've done today, and for all of us to continue learning from Hillary. So early bird tuition, $197. My slides are wrong. That's really important. Or 2 payments of $115. Early bird pricing goes through Sunday night, and then full tuition is $227 starting next week. All right, Rockstars, thank you so much for your time today. I really enjoyed getting to share these 3 key skills to sew your first garment, as well as introduce you to Garment Sewing Academy. I hope you have a fabulous rest of your day. Do not hesitate to reach out if you have questions, and if you're excited and inspired, go ahead and jump into Garment Sewing Academy. I'll see y'all soon.